Hello, this is Jacob Myers, and for the class of GEO3452, Introduction to Medical Geography, this presentation will cover anemia, as well as its effects on the rural population of Indonesia. Anemia is a very common disorder and is in fact one of the most common blood-related diseases in the world. The classification describes a malfunction or otherwise absence of red blood cells that prevents the transmission of oxygen throughout the body. Though there is sparing evidence that anemia has been prevalent across the globe throughout history, there are actually very few records of its existence back then. Detailed investigations would only be carried out throughout the 1900s, where multiple subclasses would be identified. Iron was also acknowledged as a preventative nutrient for this disease. Due to the nature of this disease, anemia conditions are typically symptomatic of a lack of oxygen. Weakness, dizziness, other irregular sensory conditions, and pains throughout the head and chest are typical problems caused by anemia. One very important consideration concerning anemia is that it is largely caused by and is associated with nutritional deficiencies, and its prevalence can thus represent areas of poverty or otherwise medical disparity. This chart, compiled by the World Health Organization, demonstrates the areas and demographics through which anemia can occur the most frequently. In addition to the immense prevalence of anemia among females, the skyrocketing amount of cases in South Asia is among the most notable traits of the graph, and is partially the topic of interest for the study we will go over. Anemia among children and adolescents in a rural area is a case study intent on exploring the correlation between Asia, the young, and anemia. Indonesia is the nation explored under this study, as set specifically within the East Kalimantan province in Malinau district. Pediatrica Indonesiana is the journal through which this study can be found in, and the surveys and results were provided by the University of Indonesia Medical School and the Malinau Public Hospital. The objective of this rural study was to investigate the occurrence of a frequent form of anemia in a location that has otherwise largely eluded discussion and discovery. The study makes a point to identify a set of factors influencing the sustained epidemic, which I in turn have outlined in the triangle of human ecology to the right. As demonstrated in the chart earlier, age and gender are both very prominent influencing factors towards anemia's prevalence. Universally, children are more vulnerable to anemic conditions, as the iron that would be used to combat these conditions are instead being used to focus on their growth. Females also suffer an additional disadvantage in pregnancy, where they would need far more iron than usual to sustain both their child and themselves. Outside of pregnancy, however, females are also believed to suffer iron deficiencies once they go through menstruation, which will also further bolster their chances of suffering anemia. In regards to the habitat triangle, the built environment ensures that these populations are too poverty-stricken to pursue treatments even as simple as iron supplements. The natural environment, meanwhile, encourages a diet lacking in iron, as local Indonesian meals are observed to consist primarily of rice with a possible serving of poultry or fish. In terms of behavior, social organization keeps anemia from being addressed as an issue in poorer areas. The report notes that prominent anemia studies have not touched the topic of humble rural locations, and awareness of the disease may consequently be very low. or beliefs, local teen marriages and pregnancies are actually very frequent among the area, which further heightens anemic susceptibility among females. Local government addresses this problem by providing these pairings iron supplements. The survey would proceed as a cross-sectional study, where archived records of young anemia cases would be procured from Malnau Public Hospital. The study limited its eligible samples to those within the Malnau district, the location of which can be observed through the map to the left. The data was collected from July 2009 to January 2010. The study limited its samples to children from 6 months old to 18 years old. According to the study, this demographic represented about a quarter of the entire Malnau district population. Table 3 illustrates the range of cases observed. Note how female cases of anemia increases explosively once they reach their teens. Overall, anemia was found in 53.9%, over half, of child subjects. Though newborns were excluded from the study as data points due to semantic complications regarding the bloodstream, the study does note that there is a higher anemia prevalence among infants in general. The study also notes, however, that 62.6% of girls aged 12 to 18 were determined to also suffer anemia. In sum, the high proportion of young people throughout Indonesia's Malnau district are very vulnerable to cases of anemia. The population suffers a severe lack of opportunities to build or even maintain iron nutrients. The continuation of oblivious social practices such as teen pregnancies may ensure that the anemia epidemic will persist throughout Indonesia for quite some time. Regarding limitations, one issue that the study itself acknowledges is that they are unable to account for extenuating circumstances that may enhance anemia vulnerability. The study briefly takes note of infections and other diseases that frequent the area, and this may skew results for anemia testing. As a likely consequence of the cross-sectional method, a study also cannot identify the duration of anemia cases, nor can it take note of resurgences among previous victims. Notably, since the study only collected its data from July to January, we do not have year-round results for anemia prevalence in Indonesia. If the winter and spring seasons can possibly influence the susceptibility of anemia, it may be a significant topic to discuss.